Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here, and this is Hearthstone Replay. It's my recent partnership. It's not a paid partnership. We just do some cross promotion from time to time, and honestly, they just have a very good service that I've used for a really long time, and I can give you guys a lot of the insight into why I play around some cards in Arena, why I don't play around some cards in Arena, and also give you guys kind of the reasons behind playing so many decks in Constructed this month on this Boomsday expansion launch. It's just really easy to sort that out through this website, and it's a tool that I think everybody should at least be aware of. So Hearthstone Replay is based on the Hearthstone Deck Tracker app. A lot of people use that. I think it is the most popular deck tracker, and when you use that deck tracker, it pulls for stats as you play, and the stats are fairly well represented on this website as what actually happens in Hearthstone. And to start you guys off with Arena, this is the part that I used for a really long time. This is the main page. If you want to check it out, link is below. Just gives you a lot of just quick feedback. Overall win rates for classes in Standard. It's not that meaningful because it's usually some decks that carry the classes and others that sink the classes. Like, we know Druid's pretty damn good in Wild. I don't know if Shaman's really best, but we'll see in a second. But what I really have used for a long time now is the Arena breakdowns. So you see the win rates of the different classes. Remember, this is average players, and you have to also keep in mind that traditionally, at least in Arena, people have a lot more experience with some classes. So, for instance, the fact that Warrior is 4th is actually quite amazing. That means Warrior is probably much better than 4th, because Warrior is a pretty difficult class to play in Arena, and the average Warrior player these days has far less Warrior experience than like Warlock, Rogue, Mage, all that. The fact that Mage is 5th is probably quite a lot worse than that, because it's been the best class historically, so many people have a lot of experience. So as with all numbers, give it some thought, interpret them as you may. But yeah, right now it looks like Warlock's really crazy. Rogue is very good, especially behind good players, because it's a class that requires a lot of planning. Druid is still a class that hasn't done traditionally well in Arena, so the fact that it's high up there means Druid is very good, Warrior is very good, and honestly the rest seem pretty mediocre to me, especially Paladin. Paladin might even be the worst class right now. But okay, so let's take a look at how I use these stats to just know how to play in Arena. So there's a lot of filters here on the left in terms of the filters by like classes and stuff. You can use that as you may. In terms of like the time frame, Hearthstone Replay offers some premium features and some of the range modifications. Like if you want to see only stats generated in the last 3 days, that would be a premium feature. There's a few premium features on the website, and typically you can get slightly more accurate data, but with the fact that you need to interpret the data and use it as you may each time, that's not needed. You can certainly go to Hearthstone Replay without premium and still have a large edge over people who don't use the website. So yes, right now we have the Warlock class selected for Arena. Right now we have latest expansion as the default selection, and this is probably the best tool to use right now. But as the expansions evolve, like a month from now, especially if they decide to redistribute the buckets, something like last 3 days might actually be a lot more useful to see. As of right now, you can see the chart here, and typically what I like to do is I'd like to see the cards that are the most common in each class. So right now we have Warlock. Warlock is the best class. It's very important to know what the best class is playing on average, because you're going to be playing against a lot of the best class when you play a mode like Arena. So 48.2% of Warlock decks have at least one Defile in them, and on average they have 1.2 Defiles. So if you multiply these two up, you get like, I don't know, what is that, 57%? So on average, it's like number of Defiles divided by all Warlock Arena decks is 57%. 57% of the time they'll have one Defile, something like that, on average, kind of, right? Rough numbers with some interpretation, and that basically gives you the next thought process. if you are playing as a Warlock, would you keep Defile in your opening hand? Oh, you would. Okay. So if you keep Defile in your opening hand, that increases the chance that your opponent has it, based on how many cards he mulliganed, of course. It also increases the chance that he has Defile as you move on in the game. The chance that your opponent has Defile on turn 3 is a lot less than your opponent having Defile on turn 20. Because on turn 20, he's drawn most of his deck. All right. There are also other factors at play here. In Arena, because you're matched up against people who have the same number of wins and losses as you do, as often as Blizzard can match you up. So if you're playing at 0-0, these stats are literally averages. This is what you expect 100% of the time. That's what you play, as if they have roughly 1 and 2 decks will have Defile, and you weigh your risk and reward through your plays knowing that information. Now, as you move on the arena ladder, let's say you're getting pretty lucky. Let's say you have a pretty good deck. Let's say you're at like 7-0. The average 7-0 Warlock is not going to have 1 and 2 decks have Defile. The decks that make it to high wins are typically those piloted by pretty good players, usually some luck involved, and more importantly, they have really, really good decks. Okay, so the really good decks that you play in the high end of Arena are going to have larger quantities of the really good cards. That's how you get really good decks. That's what it means to have a good deck in Arena. So if you're playing at like 7-0, the chance your opponent has Defile in his deck is way higher than 1 and 2. My experience, at least in this current Boomsday expansion cycle, the chance can be as high as like 2 Defiles per deck in that win range. If you're at like 11-0, they got it. All right, they got Defile. Just pretend they have it at all times. That's kind of how you leverage that. If you're at like 0-2, the chance you're getting Defiled is extremely low, because those stats have to average somewhere. You know, the average 0-2 Warlock is not going to be 1 and 2 decks have Defile. It's going to be maybe 1 and 4, maybe 1 and 5, maybe 1 and 10. I don't know what it is, but it's less than that. And when it gets really to that low of a percentage, the best play is typically to just ignore the fact that they might have a Defile. So that's kind of how it works. It's a very practical way to play the game, where you're always managing your risk, and if you have more information than just your experience within the game through means like Hearthstone Replay, your risk and reward management game is going to be much stronger than those of many of your opponents. So that's why it's very important to know the probabilities involved in specific answers, specific cards, especially so for the top arena classes, because you'll play against them so often. Now, the second part I want to show you guys is the meta. So if you click on meta, it basically shows you the top decks on average. Right now we have all ranks enabled. This is again a premium feature, so if you want to see just, at legend rank, what are the best decks. So at legend rank, in America, the best deck, the only tier 1 deck, in fact, is Token Druid. So you'd be crazy to not play Token Druid if you're not playing, if you are playing at legend rank in America, apparently. Having a solid 1% plus over average win rate on any other deck in the game is certainly a considerable margin. So if you are a player that's struggling to climb the ranks, having the data ranges available to manipulate is certainly a very powerful tool. So I don't want to do plus. Okay, fine. Let's do ranks 1 through 5. Okay, so if you're like at rank 3 or actually you can just click rank 3. So if you're rank 3 and you have a decent card pool, and you want to see what are the best decks to climb at rank 3 in America, you're looking at like Odd Warrior, Token Druid, Midrange Hunter, Secret Hunter, Death Rattle Hunter. There's a lot of stats that go behind this, so it's not just that you're just throwing out a deck out there. You can actually explore some of those stats, and that can be very interesting. So if you're at like rank 3 in America, you can even, or just America, let's say, you can check the popularity. So you can see rank 3, America. So let's see here. The most popular decks are Zoo Warlock, Odd Rogue, and Death Rattle Hunter. And, it kind of falls off quite a bit at Malagos Druid and Tempo Mage. So if we go back to America rank 3, it's no wonder that the top deck is Odd Warrior. That is a deck that does very well against those decks and very poorly against others. Now, let's say that you actually wanted to play Odd Warrior. You're sold. You're at rank 3. You're playing in America. Hearthstone Replay is telling you should definitely play this deck. You're going with it. All right, let's play Odd Warrior. So how do we play Odd Warrior? It gives you the breakdown of the win rates. It gives you how many people are actually playing these decks. It's a decent number of warrior decks. It gives you guys cards that are often seen in Odd Warrior. This is not a deck list. We'll get to that in a second. It gives you the mulligan guide. So if you've never played Odd Warrior before and you're like, man, what should I be keeping? Well, you just see mulligan win rate. So if you keep this, how often do you win? So you're looking for Eternium Rover, you're looking for Shield Slam, you're looking for Town Crier, you're looking at Glutinous Ooze, you're looking for MC Tech, you're looking for Brawl, apparently. Obviously, these are matchup dependent. Like if you're playing against another Odd Warrior, Brawl is not going to be a card you want to keep. But these are averages, and this is a very good first step. This has allowed me to pick up some of these decks and not start from 0. You start from like 60 out of 100, and then your experience catches you up to where you need to be after that. But it's a very, very good tool to get that first foot down in learning how to play these decks, and mostly seeing what other people are doing even. Now, let's say you actually want an actual deck for Hearthstone, like you want to just play it. So you can go to Popular Decks, and Popular Decks has its own screening. So let's just see Legend to rank 5 on popular Odd Warrior deck lists. You can sort by game numbers, so you can see really large sample sizes, so you can see kind of the inner workings of the deck. But I want to go for win rate, just win rate. So this is 980 games at 58.1. This is 58.0 at 1400 games. So probably I'll just go with this deck. So this specific set of cards played in Odd Warrior at rank 5 down to Legend has a 58% win rate, and this is it. It gives you the mulligan win rate for this deck specifically, so you can check that out. You can check out, there's not enough games, 1400 is pretty low on the matchups. I'll show you guys that tab in a second. And yeah, if you really want the deck, you just go copy deck to Hearthstone, and then you're done. That's how I've played so many decks this month, because when I want to play a new deck, I don't have to do any work, I don't have to do any research. I just go through this site, pick up a deck in like 2 seconds. I get a head start on how to actually play the deck, and then bam, we're done, right? Now, we're still at the Odd Warrior archetype. We haven't actually selected a specific decks. So if we go to matchups here, there's obviously the collective different types of Odd Warriors and their matchups against the collective other types of deck. You can kind of get an idea. And this is also pretty important because it allows you to understand how much risk you need to take. So, for example, what is a bad matchup? Mecha'thun Warlock. Okay, that's bad. All right, but sure, let's use it as an example nonetheless. It looks like Mecha'thun decks are pretty rough. So if you have an 11.8% chance to win against Mecha'thun Warlock, you basically, in the mulligan stage, maybe you've played against the guy before and you know he's playing Mecha'thun Warlock. You got to think to yourself, it's like, okay, so I know this guy's playing Mecha'thun Warlock, or maybe it's something you realize on turn 3. Knowing that you have basically no chance is a very important tool, because you need to up your risk. You need to make really risky plays. You need to make really risky mulligan choices, perhaps, if you know he's playing Mecha'thun Warlock before the game starts. And yeah, again, it's risk management and knowing your position and knowing how much risk you need to actually leverage does give you that competitive edge. So a lot of interesting stuff. If you've never checked out the website before, you guys gonna love this stuff, and you're gonna kill a lot of time learning about the inner workings of Hearthstone. So that's it. Links below if you want to check out the site, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.